Hello and welcome to part 5. So today what we're going to do is very much look at this top hollow projector. What I want to try and do is get it finished. If you look at the screen, what it looks like, the hollow projector kind of sits slightly out of that cowling. So what I'm going to do really is bring out a bit of a plate on this here, and then I want to find a way of mounting this into that plate. So that's what we're going to try and do today. So the first thing I'm going to do is with bodies, I'm just going to hide the hollow projectors so I can start to look at this frame here. Now what I want to do, and again I keep looking at this reference image to see if I can see any more, it's not brilliant, but it looks like there's a slightly recessed flat plate but at the same angle as this face here. So very simple. We'll start to body that out now, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a offset plane, because I want to create a plane on just there. I'm not going to offset it by anything, but it gives me a chance to draw something. And then what I'm going to do is sketch project. Okay, and what sketch project does is allows me to project certain things. So I will click on that plane, and what I want to project is that line, and that line. Okay, and that kind of gives me, if I hide the bodies, that gives me this bit of a sketch. And then finally what I'm going to do is sketch a line, and I'm just going to seal those off like that. Make sure it goes pink. Yep. Okay, and bring that back in. So now that gives me something that I can start to extrude. Sketch. So just stop the sketch, highlight that completed drawing, click create, extrude, and what I'll do is I'll just pull that back into there like that. I'm not bothered about going past it, I'm just going to create that as a new body for this. This is, I'm just going to block things out first and then we'll take it from there. So, okay. So now that gives me that sort of base. And then what I want to do then is highlight that plate, right click on it, press and pull. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it back a little bit so it gives me that kind of a bit of detail. I don't want it to go much beyond square because it's got to fit that hollow projector in. But I'm okay with that. Okay. Now if I hide this dome, you'll see there's quite a gap at the top actually there. So what I'm going to do, and I'll show you. So this really is kind of how I start to cut things up. Is I'm just going to hide the dome. I'm just going to that top bit. I'm just going to pull that out a little bit, so there. Not measured, but just so it completes what I want to do. Okay. So now, as you can see, it's on the inside of my dome, and it's on the top of my dome. So what I'm going to do is chop this box up a little bit so it fits. So under modify, split body, the body I'm going to split is this one. And my split in two, in the first instance, I'm just going to chop it off at the top of this cowl in here. So I'll click on that, click OK, and that's now split that into two pieces. One piece there, as you can see, and the other piece which we just looked at. So I can delete that one because I don't want that one. There we go. The next thing, pardon me, what we're going to do is split this inner body. So I want to take this off the outside. So again, modify, split body, highlight that as a body, and this time we're going to select this plane, press OK. So now that gets rid of this on the inside. So again, I'm just going to delete that. So you can see what's happened here now is we've actually got a piece that fits in there really nicely. That can react to be part of the dome. So finally what I'm going to do is modify, combine that dome with the item, click OK, and there you go, that is now part of the dome. The only difference is because the faces are coloured is that it's giving it a white face. So we'll just correct that, we'll highlight the face, we'll right click and we'll select appearance. Remember this last time, this was just how we did a bit of the aesthetics and colouring really. and we want to apply this to a face, and we're just going to drop that green colour onto that face, and then we're just going to close that. So there you go, we now have our cowl. Now looking back at the pictures, the other thing that I think looking at that is the outer cowl's a little bit thicker. So what I might do is I might just grab that one, highlight that face, and press. What I'm doing here is pressing shift to hold between the two, and pressing shift to rotate with the middle mouse button, as you remember. Right click on that and press pull, and then what I can do, I can just pull that face into what I think will look something like this one. So I'm not going to put in very much, probably just about something like that. There we go. Okay. Now, happy with that. So the next thing I want to do is bring back this holoprojector and its body, because what I want to do now is right click on that and move it. Okay. So I'm going to move it looking at it from this side. Okay, so can I? There we go. So what first thing I want to do is I want to align the move pivot with something that's on the flat here, so I'm not doing it in weird three-dimensional space. So that's the set pivot, tick the green key, and now that lets me to move it without actually messing about too much. So I'm going to bring it out, and I'm going to rotate it so that that line is flat. There we go. Bring that out a little bit more. And rotate it to the line that it's flat. There is ways of aligning these a little easier using sort of snap type tools, which I'll show you a little bit later. It's quite difficult when you've got two parts and one of them's round and there's a few kind of complications, so sometimes I'll do it just by eye, but generally the snap tools work quite well as well. One of the things here, notice if I just want to rotate it a little bit and it snaps to 2.6 degrees, so I can type in numbers in there, and what I tend to do is just start typing numbers in until I think that we've actually got something that looks about right. So that to me looks about right. So I'm happy with that. Click on this, and then so the next thing I want to check is the front. And as you can see at the moment, it's what I'm looking for, is it wide enough to hold that outer cowl in. I'm not too bothered at this stage as to whether it's going to be able to hold everything else. So I'm going to just push that back in, pull that down. Yeah, so we're not far off. On these cowlings that I've designed, I don't know if you can see it, but what I've actually got is that line there, which on the standard R2 dome is where that would fit on the, where it would fit on the body, so where it would extrude to. So this is going to be a custom hollow projector, I think, in this case. But okay, so I quite like that. Whoops, a daisy, lost all control. So yeah, to me that starting to look right. Look at it from the front. Yeah, and then it probably just needs centering across a little bit, which is kind of like that. Okay, so that'll do for a start. So now I can see that there's a little bit of an overlap on there because this bit here is probably a bit too far back. So what I'm going to do is just right click, press pull, and just pull it out so it covers it like that. There we go. And then as a design, I'm fairly happy with that. Okay. So the next thing I'm starting to think about now is how do I cut that up so that it's easy enough to print, and you can just slot it into this dome. And at this stage, I'm not quite decided I'm going to cut the dome up, but what I'm thinking is I want this as a separate piece to the dome, a separate bit of detail that you can print out probably in 3 parts, which is this outer cowl, this inner cowl, and then the actual body of the lens. So the first thing I'll do to start to do that is I'm just going to probably chop this. Oops, I'm going to chop this out of the dome, and then I can start to work on this separately. Okay. So again, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to first of all sketch project, and I'm going to do it on this flat plate here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut there, I want to cut there, I want to cut there. What I'm doing is just projecting some cut lines in the first instance. I want to cut that bit, I want to cut that bit, I want to cut that bit. Oh, I lost it again. I want to cut that bit, and finally I want to cut that bit. Okay. Right, and then, so now if I hide the bodies, I'll show you what we've drawn. We've drawn that, which is basically what we want to use to cut. And then I want to modify, split body, I'll highlight the dome, I will select that line as a cutting line, and it'll actually cut that out. Okay, so I'm going to click OK on that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hide the main dome. Okay, so you see a couple of things. One, there's a rear echo of that, which you always tend to get, so we'll just probably hide that. And now I can see that this is where the dome line is. So if I hide that and just show you the main dome body, you'll see that the dome body has got this cut in it. Now the I should stop doing that. I don't know why it's doing that. It's some weird thing. That's just yeah. Chances are, what I'll do is I'll get rid of these holes here and just have a straight square cut in that dome, I think, for how this fits. And this is kind of all a part of 3D printing these things. Is you've got to kind of think how you're going to print it at the same time as how you're going to design it. So I'll probably have a piece that you print out that slots into it, pushed inwards. If that's the case, I can get rid of these because these will, their little sharp bits will fit flush. But I'll need something on these edges here as well, so I'll probably need an edge. I'll need to pull all of these in a little bit so there's an edge for it to sit on. But I'll show you what, well, we'll do some more work on it and I'll show you what we mean as we move along there. So first of all, let's bring back this cowl in here. So what I want to do now is just take out this piece for the main circle. So let's have a look. So first and foremost, if I just, what I'm going to do is actually going to click modify, combine, and I'm going to combine this with the outer cowling on a cut. So it'll cut the difference so I can see where I am. However, at the moment what we've got is it won't cut right the way through. So I'm just going to highlight this back plate. I'm going to create an extrude, and I'm just going to extrude that back out through there so that it'll create a clean cut. And I'm not doing a join, I'll just do it as new body at this stage. Okay. So once I've done that, then what I'm going to do also is I'm going to take a copy of that cowl. So I'll just Control C and Control V, or right click copy, however you want to do that. And I'm going to leave it in the same place. So what I'm going to do is just hide the cowl. There we go. Hide the hollow edge projector thing. Modify, combine. I'm going to combine this outfit first of all with this hollow projector cowl. But I'm not going to click join, I'm going to click cut. Okay. And then I'm going to combine, modify, combine this bit here with that piece there, again on a cut. Okay. So what that's kind of done now is, in theory, it's given me the hole where the hollow projector sits. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll delete that middle bit, and now I've started to get a little bit of the actual hole. So there's a couple of things on here that we'll need to tidy up. Firstly, there's this cutout, which because it's flat, so I'm just going to highlight that. If you hit delete key, often what it will do is it will just tidy up bits that have that are left over when you do these kind of things. So if you look, for some reason it's giving me this thin bit here. If I hit delete key again, it lets me tidy it up a little bit. And I can see there's a bit of an edge on there, so I'll hit delete on that. So there we go. So that's quite a neat, tidy kind of piece that I can then bring back that hollow projector and the frame. So now I get to start to see how that frame sits in. That's weird, that's in the frame as well. Let's just clear it. Right. So that kind of fits in. I'll get rid of that on there as well, because this piece is obviously a piece that we're going to use specifically for this. Now it's got a lip. The way it fits on the dome is it's got a lip. Everything works, so quite happy with that. Happy with the fit and everything, so yeah, that's great. The only thing we need to consider is whether once we put the hollow projector in there, is how we actually hold it in. So I'd be kind of tempted to see if I can stop. Yeah. Kind of tempted to think of how we actually put it back on there so that it actually supports it. Right, so what we'll do now, I'm just going to quickly go on to a little bit of thinking time, and then I'll come back to you once I've worked out how we're going to do that, so you don't have to watch videos while I think my way through this. Okay, so I've had a little bit of a think, and I think we've got a bit of a plan. So let's put this nice and centrally. Wait. Okay, so the plan is, first thing I'm going to do is I just want to take a copy of this. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to swell out this back plate here and use this to make a small piece that fits inside there that holds that in place. So I'll show you how we do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this piece, copy, paste. Okay. So what I've created here is two of the main hollow projectors. Okay. So whilst keeping this one hidden, I'm going to work on the copy that I've made. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the outside of that, and I'm going to pull the outside out by about 6mm. Okay. Then I'm going to bring the other one back. I'm going to make another copy of that one. Right click, copy, and then paste it. There we go. Okay. So what I've got now, and I'll show what I've got, is I've got the main down way. So I've got this very inflated version of the hollow projector. Let me just hide everything and I'll show you what we've actually made. So I've made this, which is a highly inflated version of the hollow projector. I've got this, which is the standard hollow projector. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two together to get this outside shape. Okay, so modify, combine the inflated one with the standard one on a cut, click OK. And what that's given me now is it's given me something that will fit the other hollow projector in perfectly. What I'm going to do now, so look at that, see how it fits in just right. What I'm going to do now is click on the inside face of that, and I want to just pull it out a little bit. So I'll put out minus 0.8mm, and that's literally so we've got some space for the hollow projector, as you can see, to sort of spin around. The minus 8 is the same, I think, as a frame, so you can see the frame is virtually spot on there. Okay, so now we've got something that fits in. So if we start to pull those parts back with that, the frame, now the frame, what next thing we want to do is probably cut it off at this piece here. So let's put that back in, let's put the frame back in. So modify, split body. This is, you know, repeating a lot of things here, but highlight the whole of that inflated piece, And then the splitting tool, if I zoom right in, I want that edge there, because that's actually going to cut it exactly level. Okay. Okay, so now I've got two pieces of the inflated body, and I'm just going to delete that one there. So you can see what we've actually created there is a back piece that effectively holds, directly fits onto this front piece. And just so that it will all mesh together nicely, what I'll do is I'll just pull that back by about 0.4. Tolerances, I do put 0.3 and 0.4 gaps in between parts, basically because when you squash the plastic on in printing, it goes over slightly. It just saves you having to sand all the parts to get them fit together, which is why I kind of do that. So now what we've got is we've got the back piece, we've got the main body, and we've got that frame. And then we bring that in, we know where it's going to sit, we bring that into this frame here. You can see it all fits rather nicely and rather comfortably. So, whoops. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to just add a little bit more tolerances as we go along. So let's hide that piece there, and then on this inner ring here, onto it, press pull, and again I'm going to make that about -0.6, I think. These are, a lot of this is just kind of guesswork. Now when I do that, you can see there's quite a thin piece there. Let's just have a quick look at that, inspect that against that. That distance is 0.6 mil. And it gets thicker towards the back. Let's just check the distance between that and that. That is 2 mil, 0.6. That'll be okay. I'm just checking there because I know when we print it, that'll create quite a fine part. So I don't want to make it too difficult to print. So you can see now that that part's now starting to build up. So that what we've got is we have the holoprojector, the frame, that all fits together nicely. There's still some more tolerances. We need to, this inner bit here I need to pull out a little bit. Again, I'll just okay that because I know that'll be 0.4. That's just so that slots in properly. And theoretically now that'll all fit together nicely, and then the rear piece will just go on there like that. I can start to look at how we could potentially make that a bit more a bit of a need to fit within that space, so it just kind of just slots in, and I'll show you kind of how we would do that. So I like that, press and pull that out a piece so that it goes way beyond the space that it's in. Click OK, modify, split body. Again, we're going to split this body. I'm going to select this bit here, OK, and then we can get rid of that there. So just going to show you very quickly how we sort of start to do this. What it does do is it kind of that probably, so just looking at that, probably what hold it in. Let me just go back and undo that. Modify, split body. So this is kind of, you know, when I'm designing normally I'm just messing around and experimenting with a lot of these things, so you get kind of a bit of a feel, see what different things we've got. No, that doesn't work, so let's just undo that back to there. Just have a little bit of things. So that's what I'm trying to do really is try and look at where and how I would fit that in to this piece here. I mean, to be fair, it's fairly simple in that what you do is you put this bit in the middle and then you just glue it together. I do like to sometimes put screws in so people can replace parts. I'll tell you what we'll do now is I'll show you how we put something in there that would just hold this piece into maybe put a screw into that corner and that corner, because there's quite a bit of plastic in there, just so it's a bit more of a solid fit. So what I'll do is I'll sketch lines. So I'll sketch on this plate here, go from the center, I'll draw something that goes to about, say, there. What I'll do now is I'll sketch a circle. So I'll just sketch circle, and I'll draw a circle in there, which is 4.6 mil, so I can fit a 4 mil screw in there. Yep. And then what I'll do is I'll do that to say about 10 mil. I'll sketch a line. And there to there. Okay, I'll sketch another line on the other side. Just bringing it back down to there. Okay. And then what I'll do, just to just extrude that out a little bit so we can see it as a new body. Okay, and bring everything back in. So basically that's what I've... Ooh, that didn't extrude too well. Why is that then? Okay, extrude. Just check that again. There's a new body. Okay. Yeah, so that kind of gives me the piece that I was looking for. And what I will do then is just grab that plane inside there and pull that in a little bit. So that goes to about there, like that. There we go. Right, so and then what I want to do is mirror that on the other side. I'll bring the sketch back in so I can see. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to create a little bit of a mirror plane from there, just so I get dead accurate. Now mirroring on mirroring on parts actually requires you to select a physical object plane or an actual construction plane. So what I tend to do is just draw a blob somewhere, and then I can use this as a mirror. So modify, so I can create mirror, highlight this part there, and then select that face, and it just basically creates a mirror of that object. So then I'll just delete that, and I'll just tidy up by deleting sketches. So you start to get to see, I mean, I do work really kind of freestyle, to be honest, but this for me actually works really well. And then finally modify, well not finally, what we'll do is we'll split these two bodies here with this outer plane here, and then what I can do is I can remove that. So what we start to get then is you start to get a look at this shape and how it might actually attach to that in a bit. You've got to kind of, as you design through, just then start to look at bits where they may overlap. So I'm just going to check the inner bit of there, because I assume that might be the case. So modify, combine. I'm just going to make this one unit just for the time being as a join. So this is one piece, and then I just want to get rid of these side pieces, which you hit that, hit delete. It will tidy things up. Quite useful. You get used to how it works, but if you select a plane on or face on it and hit delete, it does neaten it up. So now that to me will print really nice, because I print from this face. This face is where it sits on the base plate and goes out. It'll print as a single unit. It's got 2 screw holes, and it will just hold that in place. And of course, if you want to, you can kind of glue it in. So that'll be the rear hollow. So the rear hollow pie, and front hollow. There we go. So they all sort of fit together. And if you look at that with the where's the dome piece that I wanted? There we go. Look at that with the dome piece. Once that's screwed in, it will actually hold everything in place. So that works really, really well. So next thing, what I'll do is, again, I'm going to take the rear hollow, create a copy of it, Control and C, Control and V, and then what I'm going to do is modify, combine this with that piece. So before I do that, because what I'm going to try and do is use this just again to cut that gap out, is I'll just hide all the pieces that we don't want. Alright, there we go. So that's the copy of the rear hollow that I'm going to use, and that's the dome. So all I'm going to do actually is I'm going to highlight that, create extrude. I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. That's quite interesting. Just a little aside on there. If I create an extrude, I get that. Okay. If I right click and pull, I get that. You see the difference is that pull attempts to recreate the object that was there and extend it, whereas extrude is quite simply a straight line. So great, extrude, just so you can see the difference between pull and extrude. Okay, then bring in the dome, wherever the dome is. There we go. Modify, combine that dome with our one that we're using for cutout, and click on cut. Okay, so now I have my holes ready for the things, and again, if I just highlight all the interfaces, just to give that tolerance, if you remember. Right click, pull. We'll do -3, I think, on that. There we go. So that all works. What I want to do also is make a little screw hole for this to go into. So modify, split body, highlight that, and I'll select that piece there. Modify, split. So what I'm doing is actually splitting the body out using those holes. So what? I'll just show you what I've done there. Is I've created 2 pegs that cut all the way through on the dome, and the reason for that, what I'm doing now is modify, split body. I'm going to split that body and that body. I'm going to split it with that level. So I've chopped these back down to almost level with the dome. I'll show you why we're doing that then, and then what I can do is I can highlight that and highlight that one, and I can just pull that in. And what I tend to do is see how far it goes in before I break the surface, which is 20mm. So I'm just going to knock it back, say 15. There we go. And then finally I'm just going to glue that all back together again with a modify, combine that peg and that peg, and make it a join. Okay, so that creates me one body with 2 little holes in there. And then finally, because these are going to do 4mm bolts, but we'll just have it probably screwing into the plastic through friction, I'm going to make them a little bit thinner. So when you start pulling these, you'll see, you learn by experience, but sometimes they'll show you radius. So 2 is 4mm. We did our others, so I might do it 2.1. Okay, so now if we bring in our rear hub, you'll see that there is a very slight narrowing, which means that a screw will go in there to hold that piece in place. Along with that. So now what you've got is you've got that piece there, which will fit very nicely into the main dome. We've then got to think on the main dome, which is how, and I'll just, while we're here, we'll just add that extra piece in. We'll rejoin that, because remember when we cut that first dome out, it did take that bad bit out there, so just combine that to tidy it up. Thank you. Right, so then that will fit in nicely like that. However, we've got to kind of think about how we actually get that so that it slots in without going too far back when we push it in. So let's just hide that so we can see. You can see there's a bit of an overlap there, which means it'll be, you'd have to put the outer section in first and then push these on this side, which I'm comfortable with. So I'll just highlight that. Right, so let's just pull this in. So that's your dome, and that's your second piece. So how do I get these to fit in? Right, what I'm going to do is, I will show you, I've got an idea. So I'm going to go from this, just use the look at 2 on the back panel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line. Okay, let's see, I'll draw a line 6 mm. Do the same here, 6 mm. There we go, I'm going to draw a line there, like that, right. Then, once I've done that, I'm going to find the middle piece here, draw a middle line, because I'm lazy. I'm just going to mirror that. And then I'm going to sketch. I'm going to move quite quickly, because we've done this stuff before. Mirror. Just want to mirror that line, using that centre line as a mirror place. Okay, so that's not got them 2 pieces. At the bottom, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a line. Basically just goes like that. Okay. Now, what I'm intending to do is modify split body. So I'm going to highlight this body. I'm just going to take that corner off like that. Modify split body. And I'm going to take that corner off. It's in the sketch. I'm going to unhide the sketch. I'm going to do that again. Okay. I think that's just the same one. And then I'm going to modify split body. That one. There we go. Like that. Okay. So what that actually does now is it gives me the option. I'm going to click L to draw a line. I'm going to draw a line in this face. Now what I'm going to do is find the middle of this face, and I'm just going to draw a line from the middle of that face to the middle of that face, which will be parallel. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify split body. I'll show you what I'm doing, but I'll just very quickly go through it so that I know you're kind of probably familiar with a lot of these things. Now I'm going to select those 4 pieces to modify, and the line I'm going to use is that line I've just drawn. Okay, and then finally what I'm going to do is modify, combine this one with this one with this one, this one with this one. Okay, that. So what that gives me now, if I hide that, is it gives me those 4 tabs. I'm going to make those parts of the actual dome. And as you can see, if I do modify, combine with the main dome with that one, that one, that one, that one, what I'll have is however I print this out, I'll print this dome out with these back tabs in. And then I'll have this separate second piece that effectively will slot in very, very nicely to the main dome through there, but it will rest on those bits there. Once that's glued in, you can then fit in these 3 pieces here. Whoops, sorry. These 3 pieces here from the back, which will screw with these 2 tops, and then that's your assembly. Okay. So that kind of takes you how we're going to do that. The final thing I'm going to have to do is put some more tolerances in, because I know that there needs to be a gap between these faces. So the tolerances I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do on the main dome here. Let me just tidy up again, get rid of sketches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that plate, that plate, that plate, and 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 I'm going to pull them back minus point, what should we go at, minus 0.4, minus 0.3, do minus 0.35, do minus 0.35. I'm just what I'm trying to do is balance between, we're printing a really big part there, there's going to be quite a bit of variance in how we print that part, so I want to do quite a bit of tolerance on smaller parts. I do probably less tolerance. Actually, let's make that 0.4, I think. Okay. So now when I bring that dome part back in, you can see very clearly that there is a gap. Let's see if we can find out where the gap is. There's a gap all the way around that. And this is what I tend to do, is tend to just go in and check the gaps to make sure they have actually put the gaps in, because sometimes I miss edges out, which I think I may well have missed that bottom edge out, which I have. Top edge is fine, but I think I have missed that one out there. Let's just highlight that. Yeah, so I've missed that one. Let's pull that back another point forward. Bring that back in. There we go. And now I've got a gap. Yep. It looks like I've missed in a bit out there as well. It's a bit rubbish of me. So highlight that. That's that one. That one. Let's pull that. Okay, that. Right. Okay. So now what we have got is, once I've worked out how you cut the dome, I've got this part which is printable. How it's going to print, it will need, I suspect, this bit here is going to be the flat base, so it will need some supports for these corner pieces here and for these pieces here. There's not a lot of way I can get around that unless I actually split it. I know that I can't print from this side because this bit here is not going to work. It would print actually with that base as as a flat base. It would probably print fine like that, but you would get some. You'd have to get some bridging on a quite thin piece, but that's a potential one, which I'm fairly happy. I just tend to check the prints to make sure that they kind of work. And then that fits into the main body, and then what you've got is a HoloLens, the dome, the radar eye, all of which kind of slot together with that rear piece fitted into there. And that then gives you that piece. So the other piece that I'll just do very, very, very quickly is this radar eye. I think last time we put it in, it was set in a little bit. What I want to do is just cut it off level to there. It's exactly the same as what we've done previously, which is take the dome, take a copy of the dome, hide the original dome, modify, combine. I want that radar eye with the dome, and I want to do it as a cut. Okay, and then what that's done is it gives me this then, and then what I do is I get rid of that piece, get rid of that piece, check it all the way around. Yeah, that looks good. Bring the dome back in, and now what you've got is you've got one of those radar eyes that fits this particular model perfectly. So it saves you. Reusing parts are always quite useful and quite good. Okay, and then of course we've got the ring. So that concludes today's video, I think. So really we put all the detail in around here and made it into modular so it fits together. Sorted this radar eye out. We're actually getting now to the point where we need to think about how we cut this up for printing. What I might do very quickly on the next one is we might put some triangular detail on the top of here, but again, I mean, you've seen how we do it on here, so you're more than welcome to add bits as you see fit. But I will be publishing this as a model, so for everybody else who wants it, at least it's got a bit of detail. So I'll add some details on some of the other panels, very similar to the one that we saw here. Add the detail on the top, and then what we'll do is we'll cut it, and then we'll be able to publish the model. Okay, so hopefully that was useful again. Thanks again for the videos. Any ideas, suggestions, put them on the Patreon site. Keep downloading the models. I'm obviously publishing domes in between, and because I work at a lot quicker rate than I normally do when I'm videoing it, but hopefully this gives you an insight on how we actually build the models and gets you used to some of the basic functions on Fusion 360. Any of the features you want to look at, again, let us know on the Patreon. Cool. Take care. See you all soon. Bye.